Happy New Year's, it's 2019, and in this video I'm going to give you the top 3 trends that I'm seeing in software acquisitions, as well as some tips for both agencies and industry to help take advantage of them. Stick around, but first, good evening Agile acquisition enthusiasts, and welcome back to the Underground Digital Tiki Bar. It's Friday night, and that means it's time for another episode of Agile Acquisitions and Alcohol. Cheers. Okay, so it's 2019 and we've got a lot to celebrate. The fiscal year has closed. All the contracting officers are starting to climb out of their caves because they've been hammered for the last 3 months trying to get procurements done. Industry has been cramming, trying to get those proposals in to get those last-ditch efforts for the end of the fiscal year. LinkedIn and the internet at large has just been, exciting watching all of these great companies win really huge opportunities, both large and small. I saw a lot of great stuff at the end of the fiscal year. I'm really excited to see sort of this transition really taking hold. And with that, let's get into some of the trends we're starting to see. And I think these are going to really carry on. And when I'm talking about trends, of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning, these sort of trends are out there and they're building. I'm talking really trends in the acquisition of software space. And really what I'm seeing as far as trends, number one is efficiency. Agencies have gotten the message. They know they need to be faster. They're not all doing it, but they're trying to figure it out. And this is where getting case studies from existing or successful programs. You got programs like Kessel Run that are killing it up in Boston, and everybody's starting to pay attention. How can they start to replicate these behaviors? So start looking for efficiency, start enforcing efficiency. At the end of the day, everything we're talking about on this channel is about getting it done. And so, efficiency is just key when you're thinking about how can we get the work through the process, because the next trend is really this innovation piece that enables the efficiency, and part of that involves a lot of smaller acquisitions. And if you're going to do smaller acquisitions, then you need to be fast and efficient at them, because you need to get that through so you're set up for the next phase of the process. So efficiency goes right hand in hand with innovation. So what are we seeing with innovation? We're seeing a lot of agencies starting to pay attention to FAR 13.5. I talk about it all the time. Simplified acquisition procedures for commercial contracting. Up to $7 million to buy commercial services or commercial products. That's huge. If you are starting a new initiative or looking to retool an existing business process or capability, starting with a $7 million or less program using simplified acquisition procedures gives you all sorts of opportunities. You can do your market research, identify a pool of highly qualified vendors, and go directly to them. You can take advantage of the down select processes that I've talked about. There's just so much opportunity in becoming more efficient by taking advantage of these innovative processes. And the great news is, one of the challenges of innovation is being the first one to do it, but we're starting to see this all over the federal government. So there's examples that you can point to, draw from, and learn from. And then the third trend, it kind of goes along with what I mentioned before, but that's data. Everybody is just on the data bus. How do we take advantage of all this information that is coming through agencies? It's so much important stuff. We do all this great activities for the country every single day, and in doing so we have this opportunity to capture all this important data to learn from. What do we do with that data? How do we make it available to industry so industry can help us more? So be thinking about that, as you're approaching your problems from both the industry and agency side. How are you managing data? How are you proposing to solve managing data? And how are you thinking about data as you're executing your projects? Don't just think of operating inside a vacuum. Okay, so those are the 3 trends. If you're an agency and you're thinking about these 3 trends, what is it that you should be doing? Well, if you're an agency looking to take advantage of these trends, you need to prioritize. You need to think about, I'm in a new fiscal year, I've got money that's going to start rolling in a couple of months. What are those top priority goals? Not what are the big projects at the president's budget level, but what are the goals of your organization? How are you going to attract the right talent? When you look at these organizations that are really doing this really well, yeah, they've been innovative, yeah, they've tried to implement some really creative things, but what always sets them apart is attracting the right talent to get the work done. So you make sure you're attracting the right talent, try to bring them in-house. If you can't, make sure you're screening your support contractors really well to make sure they have your best interests in mind, that they have truly have the qualifications. I've talked about this before, when you're looking at Agile coaches, for example, make sure they have the capability, the demonstrated capability where they've done this before. But top talent to help you execute this process is so key. Having people that are fired up and are going to work diligently to get through these roadblocks and barriers, because bureaucracy is going to get in the way. That's what bureaucracy does. But understanding it and knowing how to navigate it and not taking, just no for an answer is so essential to that last part, which is efficiency and innovation again. How are you going to challenge your processes to make sure you're bringing the best process, the best execution to bear? Okay, for industry, you need to also be thinking about strategy. What are the agencies you're going to be focusing on? Different agencies have different missions, different priority sets, and different methods of execution. Which agencies are really in your sweet spot for the types of skill sets that you bring and the passion and culture of your company to solve. That's so critical, and it comes through on your proposals of, is that passion there to solve the problem? In addition to your strategy of what agencies, you need to start building that network. Depending on which agencies you're going after, you may or may not have past performance capabilities that agency is going to consider critical, or maybe it's something as simple as the VA and you don't have veteran status. So you may want to look at partnering with companies that have the status or have the capabilities. If you start seeing trends coming out of an agency for 8A contracts, then you need to make sure you're partnering with 8A contractors so you can go in and build a solid team together and deliver on those needs. And finally, you need to be looking at what vehicles are out there. Are you taking advantage of them? This is sort of a nebulous challenge. It's really hard to identify, is it better to put your efforts on this vehicle or on that vehicle? It goes back to looking at the agency. There's trends in the agencies that show you which vehicles they're more likely to use. And you want to put your efforts into maximizing your opportunities for the agencies that you think you're going to be most competitive in. So there you go. Those are the trends I see for 2019. Some tips for you from the agency and industry perspective. I hope you found this helpful for you. If you did, remember, subscribe. If you have questions or comments, put them below. I'll get back to you. And keep innovating. Make sure you're getting it done. And until next week, cheers.